Welcome to Technologies and Learning, a program that discusses the role of technologies in online learning. Today is Wednesday, December 1st, and this is in fact my second podcast. Now, for those of you who had to suffer through the first podcast, I think you'll be glad to know that I'm going to be implementing what I had planned on doing all along, and that is to format this show on having interviews.
Sumo 1 kilogram saja.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any interviews lined up this week, so that means you're stuck with me, but I am going to keep it short. I realized that on my first podcast, I had a lot of a tendency to ramble on and on. But, to start, I'm going to talk about a couple of video applications that I purchased recently for instructors to use in our video lab. And I use that term loosely because really our video lab is really quite low budget, and I think that's really the value that it has to offer. It is we purchased a couple of Sony mini DV cams, FireWire cameras that were about $600, and we are running Adobe Premiere, and that's just because we had PCs around. Mostly the computer platform used within our office is PC based, and so Adobe Premiere Pro seems to be the best solution for that, at least the one that we're most familiar with. So we did do that, and we have purchased a couple of wireless lavalier mics, and that was so that we could record lectures and not have a cord traipsing from the front of the room to the back of the room. So the only other thing is that we had a Mac OS X computer in the lab that was never being used, so I threw that in the mix and put Cleaner XL or Cleaner 6 on that to do all of our encoding. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it's just to show kind of like how simple our setup is, and really how a video production area can be built with. It is becoming more and more affordable, I guess. So, bringing that into the recent applications that I purchased, really the goal was for me to find an application, a video application, that an instructor could come into our lab and within a half an hour walk away with something. So I was looking for a product that was incredibly easy to use, and I was comparing its ease of use to something like PowerPoint, which everybody's used to and is able to develop presentations on their own with. Now, there's a couple of products out there that I found, the first of which is a PC product. It's made by Serious Magic, and it's Visual Communicator Pro. Now, there's 3 versions of this product. There's a web product, the professional product, which is the product we purchased, and one above that, which allows you to use 2 cameras at once. Now, we didn't really need to have a product that you could tie in 2 cameras, at least not yet. So we opted for the professional version, and the reason we got that over the web version is because it allows you to output high-quality archivable video. Now, I suggest that you go up to Serious Magic if you're interested in finding out more about this. The website certainly does a way better job of explaining the product than I do, and I'm going to keep my description to how we've been using it at the university and how I think and why I chose it as an instructional product. We were looking for something that was as easy to use as PowerPoint. That was some of the criteria I established for this. Because I knew that, at least within the context of the instructors at the university, there's not a lot of time they want to invest or have to invest in working with Premiere, because that takes, as I mentioned earlier, it's a product that takes a lot of time to learn, or you need to work directly with someone in order to develop the product or the video product. So, Visual Communicator Pro is designed for someone to use on their own. And what it is a product that is modeled after the broadcast. And that's sort of how they market it. And what I mean by that is that it has a teleprompter built in. So you dump your text into the teleprompter, and you can copy and paste it from Microsoft Word or type directly into it. And it scrolls on the monitor. And you set up the camera next to the monitor so that it looks like you're staring right at the camera, and you are putting on like a broadcast presentation. Now, in addition to that, you have the ability to add any type of graphic or additional video to the timeline as you want. And so that while you're reading, the text is scrolling, and you have control over how fast the text scrolls before you. You can have images come in; they can scroll in, take over the entire landscape or the screen. You can have picture-in-picture that allows you to have, and I liken this to what we normally are experiencing when looking at TV, when, let's just say there's this huge tragedy and the broadcaster's talking about it, and over the left shoulder you see the video of, let's say, a fire, a burning building, and then all of a sudden that just kind of fades in to take over the whole picture or the whole monitor. Now you're able to do all those types of things. You have a title screen at the bottom, and as I mentioned earlier, you can add any type of graphic you want, and it could be your university logo. But, I think with that, the most powerful feature is the fact that it has a green screen capabilities built in. And for those of you who are not familiar with green screen, it's basically exactly what that is. Is a screen behind you that you set up behind you, and its color is green. It can also be blue, but in this application it's green, and it allows you to key out the background. And what that means is the camera focuses on the green, and that everything it sees as green becomes invisible. So then you can replace the background with an artificial background. And Visual Communicator Pro comes with a number of different backgrounds as templates. I think there's over 50 different backgrounds that you can choose from. Now, and a lot of these may not be something that is suitable to you. I know they have a campus edition where they have, and it's designed to be like a campus newsletter. But you can put your own campus logo behind it, or you can take any still image that you want to put as the background. And it also has a bunch of animated backgrounds. The sort of newsroom look, so it looks like you're sitting at a news desk, or I think they have one where it looks like you're sitting in a computer lab. And there's a number of different types of these backgrounds that you can place in there. And it works very, very well. And it works very, very well with very basic lighting. We don't have any additional lighting that we're using at the time. We're relying exclusively on fluorescent overhead lights, and it works fine. Now, the only thing that we did is it comes with a green screen that is a plastic sheet that's been folded to fit in the box. And we were never able to get the creases out of it. And so what happened is that the light caught in the creases, and at those areas where the light sort of was absorbed by the crease, you could see through the background. So that part of the background would not capture. It was not keyed out. So what we did is we just went up on eBay and we purchased about a $30 green screen cloth that we stretched over one of the walls that we use. And so how we've been using it so far, and it's tied into our video pilot program, is that we've had instructors come in and either storyboard in advance or work with one of us to develop these short video clips. Now, they've been no longer than 3 minutes at the time, and have currently, or up till recently, consisted primarily of a way for the instructor to come in and introduce themselves to their students. More and more, they're being used, in addition to that purpose, for also being used for interviewing. You can actually get two people sitting at chairs, and you can work with interviews. And now one of the research courses, an instructor came in to interview one of the students, sort of talk about how to develop a research question. And so it's broadening up. It's completely up to the instructor as to how they may choose to use it. We have not yet worked this into a replacing a lecture or having this in addition to a lecture, but I can see that happening as instructors become more and more comfortable with the technology. And so that is really give you a great idea of what the product's capable of doing, and maybe some ideas on how it's being used. All right, so moving along, I want to talk about the next product, and that was a Visual Communicator Pro is a PC product, so now I'm going to move into the Mac territory. I found a product by Vera Software called VideoQ. And VideoQ is pretty much identical to Visual Communicator Pro. The only difference between the two, other than it's a Mac OS X product, is that it does not provide the ability to key out the background. So you can't have special backgrounds. It doesn't work with the green screen. However, it's only $89, and that's an educational price. And it produces very high quality video. I actually went ahead and purchased the product. I wanted to test it out. I don't have a lot of Mac users, or excuse me, I don't have a lot of faculty that use Macintosh that I work with, but I wanted to make sure I do have a number. Let's try that again. Graphic capabilities. So it probably, it didn't work on my older Blue G4, of like a 450 megahertz G4. So it has to be one of the newer Macintosh models, OS X models. So I set it up on my iBook G4, and I used my Logitech web camera, and within a half an hour I was able to produce a very high quality video. I would say it was the same quality video as I was able to produce with Visual Communicator Pro. Now, one of the differences, the file that you're outputting is going to be MOV. Actually, it also does MPEG-4. You can stream MPEG-4 more and more recently. But also, if you have QuickTime Pro, you can use all the different codecs such as Sorensen, so you can have a little bit more control over the files that you output. Now, I don't have examples of these I can put up on the web, but I urge you to take a look at it. Again, it's Vera Software, and seems to be an elegant solution for OS X users. I feel like I'm spending way too much time just talking about the technology. So I think I'll spend the rest of the time, or the rest of the show, and start to look at ways that we can apply these technologies to enhance student learning. Well, I think one of the ways that video and audio can enhance the online learning experience from the student's perspective is that it offers a richness and a variety that is often not there. I can imagine that, I suppose in the future, maybe in the not too distant future, when these technologies are a lot easier to use, though as sort of explained, they are becoming very, very easy to use, and more importantly, integrated into the sort of mindset that an instructor might be able to offer at the top of a lecture page, at the top of a course, an audio button and possibly a video button. Now, this is obviously future talk, really, right? It's not something that is easy enough to do now, and clearly this is lacking context, right? I mean, the instruction may not really require these technologies. I think, though, with audio, the advantage certainly is in making the learning experience more portable, especially tying this again with podcasting, that the student can just have these lectures available playback on an iPod or any other movable device. And, and this may come into play down the line also with video, being able to download the video as opposed to streaming it and have it available for playback on some sort of portable device. Now, let's spin ahead another couple of years. And let's say that during these couple of years, the technologies that I just spoke about, Visual Communicator and Video Cue, are, being used more and more, and they've been refined, et cetera, et cetera. And so the technology is there. So now what's the next step? The next step is clearly that you have to have a comfort level using these technologies. They have to hit a certain critical mass. They have to be accepted, and they have to be, they have to integrate, right? So, the part of that process is being able to use these tools comfortably. Now, I've been working with a couple different instructors, and sort of the goal is not so much at this point yet tying it directly to an instructional goal, but to get comfortable using the technology so that, and the example I'm going to use is working with video and audio recorders from web cameras, and doing it in such a way so that you're not just staring there at the web camera, right? That you're actually up and moving around as though you were in a classroom, and sort of finding that by relaxing or by moving around and working in this context as sort of like you would in a classroom, is sort of standing up and doing your lecture and talking like you would in a classroom, that you start to see the instructor loosen up. It's no longer because, but let's face it, nobody wants to stand. I mean, no one wants to watch a talking head on a web camera. I mean, that's not really, you may as well just do audio, right? And so I think sort of the value in, at least in bridging this so that it becomes a comfortable technology, is setting that web camera up, doing it in your office, and standing back and just delivering your lecture, moving around, and then things start to flow. Now, I can't say that this is going to be true for everybody. I'm not sure where this will go. But I think in order for these technologies to be used, and in order for the student to really benefit from them, they have to be natural. And so that's a huge hurdle, because when you're facing a web camera, when you have a microphone, either in a headset or one that's sitting in front of you, all of a sudden everything becomes really difficult. And I think you'll notice that as I'm talking here, I'm stuttering a lot and doing a lot of ums. That, over time, I hope that this will become more of a natural, become more natural for me. And I think hopefully that will also be true for the experiments that I'm conducting with some of these instructors, that, just to make this more conversational. Otherwise, it's just technology, and it's really just communication. I mean, we could really not even have to talk about the technology. I'm just really talking more about how can we deliver a richer online learning experience. And so I by no means believe that technology has anything to offer in and of itself. That its really only value is in support of, the goals that you have. If technology can be used to enhance or help support your instructional goals and your instructional agenda, by all means use it. And from the student's perspective, I'm really thinking of this as a way to offer not only a richer experience, but a more portable experience and a more just have more choice, right? I mean, from just looking at web statistics, by and large, I think students are going up to the web page and basically just printing the sucker out. Or the web, the learning, the online course. There's not, if you look at time activity within different parts of online courses, there's really no value. If you're going to put a lecture up on a HTML page, you may as well just have it, there's no difference between just emailing the student, right? So, this is clearly not true for online activities and the like, but for the most part, there is, I think I'm one of those people that I can only read so much online. I've gotten a lot more used to it over the years, but I certainly rather not spend a lot of time reading long articles online. So even in terms of redundancy or just providing an option, I think audio provides a real value, and potentially video may also. We'll have to see where that goes. As with both of these things, it's really up to the instructor and how creative they get with these technologies, right? So that's it for that short little rant. I want to start making a practice of this is what happened. Not a practice. Hopefully this won't be a practice. But what happened is my computer crashed. Right. I lost. I thought I lost a hard drive. I was able to resurrect most of it, and in so doing, had to end up purchasing a new drive and then swapping the old one out, putting the old data on to the new drive. And in so doing, I went through and started to clean out old folders. Right. Starting to look at all these different files that I no longer needed. Stuff piles up unbelievably fast. I feel like I kind of download and store things and thinking that I'm going to go back over and read them. And for the most part, don't go through as many as I hope at the time. Anyhow, looking through some articles and journals that I downloaded, and I came across one that I want to talk about or want to mention. It is by Athabasca University in Canada, and it's called Theory and Practice of Online Learning. Now, it's a Creative Commons publication, which means that you can download it. It's available in PDF. Of course, you can also purchase it in hard copy. I'm thinking about doing that because I think it's important to support and support the community. And the reason I bring this book up is I found that, though I haven't finished reading it, I found that it was a really amazing resource. It has 4 parts. The part 1 is about the role and function of theory in online education, development and delivery. Part 2, infrastructure and support for content development. Part 3, design development of online courses. In Part 4, delivery, quality control, and student support of online courses. So it really goes through the whole process. Though I just finished reading Part 1, I thought it was really excellent. And it kind of reminded me of the fact that when I was getting my degree in instructional technologies, for some reason I would always end up looking at Canadian sites. I didn't go out of my way to do so, but I found that there was so much excellent research going on in Canada that had to do with online learning. And that's also true of the United Kingdom. And of course, it's also true of America. But there's a different, it's different. I think there's, I don't know if it's different. I don't know much about Canadian universities, but I find that from my experience of reading the research from various universities within Canada that, at least I've learned a lot. So I wanted to mention that. And I will put this link to that on my blog. And the next thing I wanted to mention was, and this ties to the video portion of the show. It's called BIBS, a lecture webcasting system. And this is from the Center for Studies in Higher Education at the University of California, Berkeley. And what this article is, it's also available in PDF. It really talks about how Berkeley built all the planning behind it and their the goals for building their streaming webcasting system. And it's developed and operated by the Berkeley Multimedia Research Center, and the system offers live, remote viewing, and on-demand replay of course lectures using streaming audio and video over the internet. So it's began in the fall of 2000, and it goes over the entire process. Technologies they chose for this, the reasoning behind it, the planning, etc. It's just a really, I think it's a really great view into the process, and so I thought it was interesting. I'll put a link to that as well. Well, that's it for this week's show. Next week I will be starting the new format and having interviews. I hope your week goes well. I hope your Thanksgiving went well, if that applies. And if you want to look at some of these articles and look at the blog, it is www.radiojames.com. And of the two choices, the left choice is the blog, the other on the page is a link to my website. And that's it. Have a great week.